So Portland is home to nearly 100 unique neighborhoods, and that makes it a challenge to decide which one is the best fit for you. Now, if you're planning a move to Portland, but you aren't sure which neighborhood suits your lifestyle, then you're in the right place. In this video, I'm going to guide you through all of the key neighborhoods you need to know about. So hello and welcome, I'm David Backholer. I'm a real estate broker based here in Portland, Oregon, and my goal is to help you find your perfect home here. Now, I'm not just a real estate broker, I'm also a homeowner, a landlord of both short and long-term rentals, and I'm also a seasoned renovator and house flipper. So not only will I be able to help you find a home that suits your needs, but I'll also be able to ensure it's a wise investment too. So with that in mind, if you're thinking of moving to the Portland metro area, then you do need to reach out to me. Give me a call, send me a text or an email, and I'll be happy to help you. Okay, so now let's get on with the topic of today's video and talk through all of the main neighborhoods in Portland, Oregon. Okay, so before we go detailed into the different quadrants and the neighborhoods, it's worth pointing out kind of the overall lay of the land, how Portland is laid out. There are 6 quadrants kind of being you'd expect there to be 4. We've added a couple of extra quadrants in over the years, which is why there's now 6, the north and south quadrants being the newer ones. The Willamette River, which you'll see goes right through the middle of Portland, that really separates the west and the east. And then Burnside, both West Burnside and East Burnside, which you'll see is this road right along here. That really separates the north and the south. And I'll call out the specific neighborhoods as we go through them. But let's start things off and talk about northwest Portland, which is everything north of West Burnside and everything west of the Willamette River, which is everything really in the screen and then a little bit further west. Now, downtown Portland is actually in southwest Portland, and that's south of Burnside. Sometimes this area here gets confused or gets added into downtown Portland because this is where you're going to find all of the high rises in the area. This is a little bit there's a lot more commercial buildings here. You'll find the high rises with residential condos. You'll find a few townhomes, but really this area immediately west of the Willamette River is going to be those higher buildings, high-rise buildings and condos. Now, this is my first neighborhood recommendation for you. If you're somebody who's looking for to be in all the action, you want to be close, walkable distance to restaurants, bars, an active nightlife scene, great shopping on your doorstep, then this area right here, which is known as the Pearl District, is probably going to be a very good option for you. You've got several different parks along here. You're right along the Willamette River. There's shopping areas throughout. In fact, you'll see the Powell City of Books right here, one of the staples in Portland. It takes up an entire city block. It's about 1 million books that they currently hold. So it's a huge area, but overall great shopping in this area and plenty of bars and restaurants. And you'll see for yourself kind of all these little symbols for great food. And Dina, fantastic little restaurant. In fact, let's put our little guy down right down here, because these streets are some of them are fairly pedestrianized. Some of the old warehouse buildings. This is Andina on the corner here. It gives you an idea and kind of what you can expect in this area. I say high rises. Some of the buildings might only be 3 or 4 stories. Some of the others might be 15, 20 stories high. In terms of property prices in this neighborhood in the Pearl, the range is really going to vary. It could be on the lower end around $250,000 for a smaller condo, and it can go over $1 million for a top floor penthouse apartment with a doorman and plenty of facilities, a gym and even a pool in the building. So really wide range. Wide appeal. You typically tend to see the demographic skew a little younger here because it is more of an active nightlife with that food and bars and restaurants on that doorstep. it's almost all condos rather than single family homes as well. So that's kind of what you can expect from the Pearl District. Now, if we move a little bit further west into this area here, Nob Hill, Alphabet, it's kind of got several different names. This is perhaps the busiest area in all of Portland, actually, for restaurants, bars, restaurants, cafes, plenty to get and eat, place to bite to eat. And there's two main streets with everything on. You've got Northwest 23rd and then Northwest 21st. So you'll see these two streets really have a lot on. Papa Hayden here, a fantastic place to get a cake, a really nice cake shop. In fact, let's just kind of pop ourselves just along this corner. You'll get an idea on kind of what you can expect. You'll find slightly less high-rises here compared to just east in the Pearl District. This is going to be a very popular place to be. The houses that surround these streets are actually quite old. A lot of Victorian houses in this immediate area as well. So you can even see kind of some of the older houses on the street itself. But a charming little area, a great place to go in the evening or lunchtime, but plenty of places to get a bite to eat. But overall, these two areas, the Pearl and then this kind of northwest Alphabet area, those are going to be the best places if you're really looking for that kind of an active nightlife on your doorstep. Now, as we start to get a little bit further west, it can be quite hilly, incredibly hilly. In fact, let's see if we can change the views to the satellite view. And you can kind of see some of these streets it leaves the grid system and turns into that kind of bending streets, narrow streets, winding roads. And that's because it can be quite hilly. And that's because once you get further west, you enter Forest Park. Forest Park, I believe, is the largest city park in the US. I may not be correct on that, but it feels like it's a huge park. Lots and lots of walking trails. It's overall a huge park, and you can kind of see how big it is. It really goes all the way up here. So any houses that surround this area are going to have access to fantastic walking trails, green spaces, great views, and then along this area you're a little bit higher up and you have views down over the city as well. So in terms of residential neighborhoods, once you start getting west, it's a lot of green spaces, so there's less residential neighborhoods. A couple that I do want to call out: Northwest Heights, sometimes also known as Forest Heights, which is kind of the HOA in that area. Fantastic views up here, larger homes. This is definitely 4 or 5 bedroom homes, 3,000-4,000 square feet homes in this area. In fact, let's see if we can put our little guy here. We'll just put it right around here. Yeah, you can kind of get the idea just looking back at some of these houses. Steep hills, so these houses will be looking down and have some really nice views. But yeah, you can see this is the entrance to Forest Heights, which is kind of an HOA, but the whole area almost gets regarded as Forest Heights because the HOA predominantly is in this Northwest Heights area. Not every house, but predominantly that. And you can get an idea on what some of the views can look like. And I've done videos in this neighborhood, which I'll pop up some B-roll, so you get an idea on what you can expect. But if you're looking for a larger property within a 15 to 20 minute drive of downtown Portland, then this is probably going to be the neighborhood for you. It's got very good school system as well. It's close to places like Nike's head office, which is just in Beaverton, about 15-20 minutes there as well. So this is a very popular place. The demographic tends to skew a little bit towards families. It's a fairly affluent area because homes here are larger and they have views. You can find some townhomes in this area. Townhomes are going to start around the 400s, 450, under $500,000. Single family homes start around 700,000 to 800,000, but they can easily exceed $1 million because they're much larger properties. Okay, and then other areas kind of in northwest Portland are going to be, you've got the West Haven, Sylvan area, Cedar Mills. They're on that border line of Northwest Heights. You'll find a lot of homes in this area from the 70s, so you might find some tract homes, a lot more single-story homes. This could be an area for you, kind of around West Haven, Sylvan area. You might find a lot more of those single-story properties. But overall, also you can't go into every neighbourhood in Portland. There's about 100 neighbourhoods in Portland in total. Those are going to be the main neighbourhoods in northwest Portland that I think you should definitely consider. Okay, so let's start moving around. So now we're going to move on to North Portland. North Portland is basically north and east of the Willamette River, and then west of, I think it's Vancouver, or it's Williams, one of these streets here. Williams, west of Williams Street, which is this one right here. So it takes up primarily this kind of area here, this kind of top northwest corner of Portland. Now, what you'll immediately notice from this area is you have the Willamette River, you have the Columbia River, and then you have kind of some of these lakes in this area as well, and then you have some of these other waterways throughout the area. So this entire area is surrounded by water. Areas like St. John's, Portsmouth, these areas are primarily old towns built for the dock workers. Houses here are much smaller, primarily again because the dock workers were generally men, single men, maybe they were married, but a lot of men who moved here for the area. So homes here can be very small. You might find some 600 to 800 square foot homes, but a lot of houses under 1,200 square feet, especially on the more west side of North Portland, so this kind of area right around here. So what you tend to get here in terms of people tend to move here is people who are looking to downsize, maybe people who are looking for their first home, but they want to be in a single family home rather than a condo, because it's obviously a much more affordable area because the homes are smaller. But just because they're more affordable, it doesn't mean that these homes are not desirable. They're actually really charming and beautiful homes. They're just on a much smaller side. St. John's is one of my favourite neighbourhoods in this area for multiple reasons. Firstly, you've got the St. John's Bridge, which is absolutely spectacular. I'm going to put a little guy down here so you can kind of see it. It's right above us, and you can see there's a park here. In fact, I didn't pick the best spot, but I'll put up some B-roll so you get an idea. But the park itself is absolutely beautiful. It's alongside the river, spectacular. In St. John's, you've got this charming little street, Lombard Street, where you've got plenty of bars, restaurants, cafes, small shops, a few boutique shops. It's not a lot there, but there's enough if you live there for places to get a good bite to eat, breakfast, for example. One of my favourite parks in all of Portland is actually in St. John's. I feel like not that many people know about it, and that's Pier Park. And I just absolutely adore the homes that are along the side of Pier Park. So this is Pier Park. You can see huge beautiful trees, there's walking trails, there's disc golf in there as well, but then you have kind of these homes that are along the side of it that kind of look directly onto the park. So you can see these homes are small, they're not big homes, but imagine living right there, and then you can just take your dog for a walk through the park, your kids for a walk through the park. There's a swimming pool, actually it's right here, right on the corner here. You can see, right here on the corner as well. Also in the park, I think there's disc golf, there's kind of some baseball fields, but it's a big park, very walkable, lovely little trails. Now, I've talked a lot about the things I love about this area. The one big negative I feel that this area has is that it's quite cut off, or it's not necessarily cut off, but it's quite far from the main hub of everywhere else in Portland. You have the St. John's Bridge, and then you can get into kind of the downtown Portland. Relatively easy, but not everything in Portland is in this main hub, the main downtown, the Pearl District. All the neighborhoods in Portland, in Southeast Portland, Northeast Portland, have plenty of great restaurants, places to eat. These places are embedded in the neighborhoods itself. And even though there are some good places to go get some food in North Portland, you do have quite a drive into some of the other areas. it could take you 30 minutes to get from St John's all the way down to Eastmoreland or Sellwood, for example. So that's the one negative. Now, if you're someone who really doesn't go out that much in the evening and tends to be someone who stays at home, it's one of those small places in the evening, this is going to be a great option for you as well. It's also pretty close to the airport. The airport, PDX airport here, is in northeast Portland, and it's just kind of a straight shot along this road. Maybe about 20 minutes to get to the airport. So overall, northeast Portland, in terms of St John's, is fantastic for someone looking for a smaller property. Single family homes here under 1,000 square feet will be around 400, 450. You'll find something a little bit more expensive, something a little bit less for a fixer, but in that ballpark is what I would expect you should budget. Now, other areas in North Portland, you have the University of Portland is right here, and then this area right here is Overlook. This is a quite a desirable area. Bigger homes. In fact, let's just plop our little guy down. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see, but it's this area down below is kind of the hub of the port, and then directly behind us you'll find some quite attractive houses along here. Tree-lined streets. It's a more mature neighborhood, and these houses are going to be bigger than what we saw in St John's. So these houses again could comfortably be over 2,000 square feet, some around 3,000 square feet, but yeah, quite attractive area overall. This one here, for example, probably around 2,500 square feet. This one might be, depends if it's got a basement or not, but these are going to be around 2,000 to 2,500 square feet roughly overall. So that kind of gives you another little area, Overlook, very close to the University of Portland. And then places like Kenton, quite charming. So overall, yeah, some kind of cool places, good streets. This one right here, this is what I was talking about. And then other places in North Portland, there's two other areas that I would say if you're more looking for, well, if you're looking for a condo but want to be on the east side of the river, somewhere around North Williams would be a great area. So right around here, you'll see there's plenty of places to get cafes, bakeries. This patisserie is fantastic. Matador, they've got a couple of restaurants throughout the city, and one in Boise, Idaho as well. And there's some really good places along here. And you'll find that these are more, oops, look at a little guy down on the street as well. You'll see that there's kind of condos along here, slightly more modern vibe overall. But yeah, there's plenty along here. This is the Matador restaurant I just mentioned. But yeah, lots of condos along the street. And again, if you're looking for something to have everything on your doorstep, then Williams could be a good option. And then just west of Williams, and it's very walkable, it's probably less than 10 minutes, I'd say, from Williams to Mississippi. This is kind of one of those hidden treats. There is so much down Mississippi in terms of bars, restaurants, active nightlife. Bruder Nord is a fantastic breakfast spot. Cubo, I just ate there just this weekend actually. It's a Cuban restaurant, really fantastic food. It's only been there about a year or so. There used to be a burger place there, which I also really liked. There's Blue Star Donuts is in here somewhere. This is Bruder. And then lots of restaurants along here. Great activity overall. And you'll see kind of charming little areas along here, places to eat. There's a jazz club right around the corner, which actually might have closed down. And then at the top of this area, which would be just here, there's actually a good food cart pod area. And Portland, which I think I might not have gone far enough. Portland, you're probably aware of, is famous for food carts. We have so many food carts throughout all of Portland. It's just in here. You can kind of see Matt's Barbecue. There's probably 7 or 8 really good little food cart pods in a nice seating area. And this is kind of what you can expect from Portland. Maybe you're not familiar with the area. Sometimes food carts you feel might have a negative connotation to them, but in Portland we do things well. It's like a nice seating area with fire pits. There's a nice bar on a corner where you can get a beverage as well. But overall, near Mississippi, very active. The houses here are on, especially on the east side, will allow you to kind of get an easy access to Williams as well. So you've got the benefits of having both areas nearby, and it's a little bit more affordable here. The houses are not quite run down, but you get a mix, more like a mix of rentals and homeowners living in this area. And then you've got the 5 just west of it, which is quite busy. So if you're looking to be in Mississippi, maybe stay east. So overall, I think those are the main areas in North Portland that I recommend. There's of course many other neighborhoods which are fantastic, but those are certainly the main ones. Okay, so before we move on to the next quadrant, I did want to let you know that in next week's video, we'll be conducting a similar map tour, but I'll be covering all the main towns and cities within close proximity to Portland. For example, maybe Beaverton, Lake Oswego, or West Lynn will be better fits for you. So with that in mind, I do recommend you consider subscribing to my channel to ensure that that video pops up in your feed when it's released next Tuesday. Also, if you are enjoying this video, please do help me out and show some support by clicking that like button, and don't forget to reach out to me if I can help you with your move here. Okay, so now let's move on to our next quadrant. Okay, so now let's move on to where I live, Northeast Portland, and you'll find Northeast Portland and Southeast Portland have a similar vibe overall. There are a lot more residential. You'll find condos and townhomes, but primarily it's single family homes. Let's start with Northeast Portland first of all. Alberta Street is fantastic. The street runs from around about 8th or 9th Avenue to about 33rd, and the whole street features bars, restaurants, cafes, patisseries, bakeries, cute little shops. It's a very arty vibe as well. Lots of beautiful murals on the street as well. They have the last Thursday in the month is a you walk down the street and all the stores are open. During the summer months they actually close the street off, so it's like a walk-in street. And I would say in Northeast Portland there's 2 major streets where there's lots of bars, restaurants, cafes and things to do. One of them, and probably the busiest one, is Alberta, and the second one is Fremont in Beaumont Village, Beaumont, Wiltshire, and I'll cover that one a little later. But firstly, Alberta Street, what you can expect from here is excuse me, plenty of a good mix of old and new. The neighborhood is built in the 1920s and beforehand, so you'll find plenty of homes from the mid-1920s. But they've also added in newer buildings. Some of those houses, you know, they fall into disrepair, they knock them down, and then they build larger homes, townhomes in their space. And along Alberta, you'll see quite a lot of development has happened with more modern shops and modern condos above those shops as well. So the neighborhood's been transformed, but it's definitely becoming a real hotspot for that kind of breakfast, lunchtime and dinner activity as well. So those are some of my favorite spots along here. Let's see, I just had a dinner at Gumbo a few weeks ago. Really nice little restaurant overall, a great spot, and it's deceptive. It looks like it's small from the outside until you go in. It's got a beautiful kind of vibe inside. Very, very good. So that's Gumbo. I love, I forgot the name, Tin Shed is along here somewhere. Yeah, right here. This is fantastic for breakfast, a real good breakfast spot overall. And then there's a Pine Street Biscuits, and a good breakfast spot along here as well. In terms of what you can expect, houses, price points, you may find houses, single family homes start in the low 600s, but they can exceed $1 million for the large properties. The houses are going to be a little bit cheaper here than somewhere like Irvington, which we'll cover in a moment, but houses here are attractive, close to a lot of action, and a very desirable area overall. Alberta Park is also a really beautiful little park, great sports fields. Being near that park is fantastic too. Whilst we're kind of in this area, let's also talk about this little small area, but this little corner here on Killingsworth and 30th. These 4 places, Wilder, Dame, Expatriate, I'm not familiar with the other ones, are cute, adorable little bars. And it always reminds me of back home in England, kind of some of these bars, especially this one here, Wilder on the corner. Feels like a British pub. You kind of got a really charming little area, some more condos here. And actually, I think this is like a game vibe bar. I think there's, I forget what it's called, Take Two perhaps. And then Expatriate on the corner, a really cozy little pub here. Charming. Let's see if we get some pictures up. Yeah, it's kind of got some really nice cozy little bar area as well. So this is a great little spot. Houses along this area are going to be really mixed. You'll find condos, you'll find, you know, a kind of a mix of those homes. I think right here you've got some, yeah, where they've kind of knocked down a single family home, and then this style is very common in Portland now. You'll see it where they use one lot and build in not just a duplex, but also on the main level there may be an ADU. So you'll see this path here can access a separate apartment, a small apartment, you know, maybe a studio or a small one bedroom, but effectively you get 4 separate living spaces. In terms of the ownership, what you'll typically find is that one person owns this one half, and then they can rent out that studio apartment. So there's 2 owners, potentially 4 separate living spaces. That's becoming more and more popular and more common, but this is kind of the style of home. In fact, this even looks like it's a duplex as well. So yeah, you get a lot more of these small single family homes in this area, and I say small, I mean they can go up to around 2,500 square feet. So again, price points could be as high as 700,000, a little bit more for the larger properties, but overall quite an affordable area. Now, one little, I'll call it a bargain neighborhood, is an area that I recommend if your budget doesn't quite stretch to some of the other areas, is Roseway. The reason I really like Roseway is you've got charming houses right on the edge of very attractive neighborhoods, and I feel like that's moving, that level of attraction is moving. So right around here is Roseway. You'll find homes in the mid 500,000s here for the smaller homes, but you know, for a home under 2,000 square feet, you'll find it in the mid 200,000s. This one's obviously a lot larger. It's a corner lot. Trying to find a little example. Yeah, these ones here could be, in the $500,000, 550,000 perhaps, and it can go up, 700,000. But this is like a little bargain option I recommend here, right, Roseway. Now let's talk about Irvington and Beaumont, Wiltshire, a couple of my favourite neighbourhoods. Now I live in Irvington, so I'm obviously quite biased. Irvington is effectively south of Fremont. It goes to, I think it's around 26th, 27th. Goes down to Broadway, which is right along here, and then hits up against, I think it's like 7th or MLK, kind of in that area. So it's primarily what's known as Irvington. On the edges of Irvington, you'll find some condo buildings. You'll find apartment buildings, but primarily Irvington is single-family homes. And very large, attractive single-family homes. You'll find some over 4,000 square feet. In fact, Knott Street goes along the middle. In fact, let me just show you one of a beautiful house, this greenhouse on the corner of 18th and Knott. Yeah, I mean, look at how attractive a house like this is. You'll find plenty of large homes like this, some with really large and attractive front porches. There's just a wide range of homes in this area. Not every home is on this really large grand scale. For example, there's a couple of homes that I sold right along 11th and Fremont. So let's see, these 2 right here I listed over the last couple of years. This one here, this house right here, it was just over, I think around 2,200 square feet, 4 bedrooms, just 1 bathroom. It sold for 700,000, and then the neighboring property I sold the year before, this was 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and it sold for 770,000. I also listed the one across the street just in the last year, this blue one right here. That was newer, not newer, but more renovated. That sold for 850,000. Similar size, around 2,200 square feet. So that kind of gives you an idea on what you can expect in this area. These homes are right up against Irving Park, beautiful park. You've got nice sports fields. There's tennis courts. They've just redone the tennis courts, off-leash dog area, basketball courts. Very, very nice little park. But overall, kind of a very attractive neighborhood overall. And Irvington has great schools. In terms of places for bars, restaurants, shops, amenities, up here you have Whole Foods Market, you got your Starbucks, there's a good little Cafe Destino, a lovely kind of family-run coffee shop, a good kind of South Latin America restaurant, Mochella. There's also a bar here, Free House, very, very good. And then there's a couple of restaurants here as well. And then there's a couple of there's a coffee shop, St. Simon, charming little coffee shop, kind of got that modern European vibe to it overall as well. So yeah, it kind of feels like a very charming place. A good place for the neighborhood to kind of gather and meet. And then on the west side of Irvington, so on 7th Avenue, right around here, you've got another coffee shop, the Pocket Pub, make fantastic pizzas. So you got it's good pizzas. Yeah, fantastic little place, one of my favorite spots. And then there's plenty along Broadway as well. Plenty of places along Broadway. There's Taste Tickler's been in the neighborhood for a long time. The Helen Bernard Bakery's been here for 100 years. I think this year they're celebrating their 100th year. Cadillac Cafe, great breakfast spot, and there's also several places and a great Thai restaurant along here as well. So the whole neighborhood, mainly on the outsides of the neighborhood, have fantastic bars, restaurants, cafes, Whole Foods on the north side as well. It's not one of those neighborhoods you would drive to for a specific place, but it's more that these are fantastic little neighborhood amenities inside the neighborhood itself. So to summarize Irvington, big houses, smaller houses, 2,000 square foot homes, as we mentioned, probably over $700,000 for a 2,000 square foot home. Those 3,000 to 4,000 square foot homes you'll find selling for over $1 million, $1.5 million. You'll find homes that's kind of tends to be on the upper end of Irvington. You'll find homes sell for a little bit more than that as well, a couple of $1 million for those very unique homes. This is a historic neighborhood, therefore it's protected from a lot of development. We have annual Irvington home tour with beautiful stone homes that feature. So very good neighborhood in terms of community. You've got the Irvington Tennis Club, it's a members club, but overall a great community place to live. Now, immediately east of Irvington, you've got places like Grant Park. Grant High School is right here as well. Grant High School is one of the highest rated high schools in all of Portland, so if good high school's important to you, then being in the Grant Park catchment area is something for you to consider. That's going to include parts of Irvington, Laurelhurst, which is just south, also the Grant Park neighborhood, and then Beaumont, Wiltshire as well, mainly the Beaumont area. But this whole area really right around here is going to be in the Grant High School catchment area. Again, houses around this area, charming homes, similar vibe overall to Irvington. You know, you're going to find homes 700,000-800,000 comfortably for 3 to 4 bedroom homes. Another neighborhood just north of Irvington is Alameda, and you'll see it just loses the grid system a little bit right around here, and that's because some of these homes have some fantastic views. Let's see if we can see some. You'll find we're just up on a hill. I'm not sure we're going to be able to sneak through. You can kind of just see some trees down there in the distance, but these homes are beautiful because they have overlooking views kind of the over the city. Can't quite see it from the street, but yeah, these houses are on that ridge and they look down. So Alameda is very expensive, desirable. If you're having a house with those views, then you're going to be pushing $1 million comfortably. Now, an area that I love Irvington, I love living in Irvington. If I was to move or rethink decisions, maybe right around Beaumont, Wiltshire might be the place I would go. The reason for that is you've got beautiful homes, but you've got a little bit more in terms of restaurants, shops. There's a High Top Tavern, is a fantastic little pub on the corner here. Charming little place. They've got a beautiful little backyard area as well, it's kind of a seating area. And the homes are similar, perhaps not quite such the large grand scale of a place like Irvington, but this is a fantastic neighborhood. You're going to find homes that are 3 to 4 bedrooms, typically 2,000, 2,500 square feet, maybe up to 3,000 square feet in this neighborhood. Prices are going to start in the mid 600,000s, 800, 850, maybe a bit more if it's really nicely done. But this area just south of Fremont is going to be Beaumont. The area just north of Fremont is Wiltshire. This area on Fremont is commonly regarded as Beaumont Village, but the whole area really is known as Beaumont Wiltshire, because it's two different neighborhoods really combined to one. So you'll hear it called many things: Wiltshire, Beaumont, Beaumont Village, Beaumont Wiltshire. It's really regarded as this whole area, and that's kind of the reason why it's got several different names. Some of the streets here are quite narrow. You'll see kind of, these homes probably about 2,000 square feet. This looks like it could be in a condo building. But yeah, homes like this style, in fact we can't see it now, very, very typical, very charming. They're going to be dating back again to the mid 1920s, 1925. You had a big boom in Portland of houses that were developed. And again, that one I just showed you, probably mid 700s to mid 800,000s, similar to the couple that I showed you that I listed over the last few years in Irvington. I'm quite biased, but I do love Beaumont, Wiltshire. My office is located right here. I'm on the corner of 48th and Fremont, right next to Pip's Donuts. So this is my office right here, Premier Property Group. And there's plenty of places in terms of places to get a bite to eat. Just north of the main street, you've got Wilshire Park, nice big park, very walkable, and it's a mix of like sports fields and then those kind of beautiful trees. You're going to see so many parks that have this kind of vibe overall, but baseball fields, and then you have houses that surround this park. So houses on Skidmore here, for example, are going to be right bordering this park and have some fantastic access to the park. Let's see what else. This is a cemetery right here, and then one last area I'll call out in North Portland is Laurelhurst, and the reason I'm kind of hesitating is part of Laurelhurst is actually in southeast Portland. So Burnside, if you remember at the start of the video, I mentioned Burnside separates the north and the south. So you'll see if I just put in Laurelhurst, you'll see it outlines Laurelhurst in red, but Burnside right here separates it. So most of the houses are in northeast Portland, but some houses and Laurelhurst Park are in southeast Portland. Now, Laurelhurst is one of those very prestigious neighborhoods. You see the layout structure is a little different compared to the traditional grid system. Laurelhurst Park is probably my favorite park in all of Portland. I mentioned that about a few parks. There's some fantastic parks in Portland. You've got a great duck pond here. We celebrated my wife's birthday in this park at some of these picnic tables. It's a great park to walk through. You'll see people are out here having a good time walking. There's some sort of tree area along here, and there's some pretty beautiful houses in this area as well. Now, this is the area I'm touching on now is actually part of southeast Portland. But if we spin around, you'll see some beautiful homes along Oak Street. Let's see. Yeah, some beautiful homes along here overall. Charming area. Laurelhurst is filled with fantastic properties, fantastic homes, a lot of character along here, but overall you can expect a good mix. Again, it's not all large grand homes like this, and this is going to be 3,500 square feet, perhaps a little bit larger. It's right on the park, so it has to be million and a half plus. But you'll have some fantastic homes in this area. Some homes are going to be smaller. You might find again those 2,000 square foot homes. You'll find those more traditional size homes throughout the entire area. But overall, the vibe in Laurelhurst is a little bit more prestigious. It's certainly more affluent, a little bit more expensive to get into. Hard to find much under 750,000, for example. You may find a few, but Laurelhurst, very desirable. Great school system. It's part of the Grant High School catchment area. So again, and then the elementary schools are also in this area as well. So And then you'll see here the Laurelhurst Club. It's a private club you can use for events, and it overlooks the park as well. So overall, Laurelhurst, very, very desirable, beautiful neighbourhood. But overall, that kind of sums up North East Portland. Next up is South East Portland. Okay, so let's move into South East Portland. And it's worth mentioning that overall, South East Portland and North East Portland overall has a very residential vibe with plenty of kind of cute store areas and amenities within the neighborhood itself. So let's start off Mount Tabor. Mount Tabor is a beautiful park, and in the areas surrounding Mount Tabor may have some very, very good views. The park is one of the biggest parks in the city. You see that there's several different reservoirs in the area as well, and it's kind of an old volcanic cinder cone, I think is kind of the correct term for it. Yeah, sprawling park on an extinct volcano. So overall, Mount Tabor, steep hills, great place to go for a hike, walk the dogs. You've got some tennis courts on the top northeast corner there. You will have some fantastic views, especially from the east side. In fact, let's plop our little guy down right here. Yeah, so this house I'm quite familiar with. I helped the owners sell that one. You'll see, perfect. This in the distance here is Mount Hood. So these houses along, this is Southeast 71st, have some fantastic views. And there's some right behind us as well up this hill that will also have some absolutely sensational views looking down, looking east, and that's where you'll find Mount Hood. Prices for this neighborhood really vary. You'll find homes a little bit smaller, 1,700 square feet, for example, maybe in the mid 500,000, under 600,000, and then it goes up 700,000-800,000. The homes that we saw on the side along the hill here are going to be over $1 million, but that kind of gives you an idea on some of that range, anywhere from $500,000 up to $1 million or more. It's what you can kind of expect. Cooking, a fantastic little restaurant, by the way. So Mount Tabor is really good. Nice facilities nearby, cute little restaurants. In terms of the lay of the land, there's several main streets to think about. Burnside is going to be one of those through streets, and you can see it's got a few bars, restaurants, cafes. Belmont is another one, and there's a cute area right here around here on Belmont in terms of shopping area and a few little stores and cafes and grocery stores and things right along here. So it's Belmont. And then you have Hawthorne, plenty of bars, restaurants, cafes, eateries, shops. You have a big Fred Meyer on the corner here, fried egg I'm in love, great breakfast spot. Hawthorne, very, very busy street in terms of all those facilities. So, and you'll find the reason I'm pointing these out is that a lot of these neighborhoods kind of are dependent on these areas. They're built up along these areas. So that's Hawthorne, and then south of Hawthorne, the next major street is Division. Again, plenty of places to get food along here as well. And you've also got just a little bit further south places like Clinton. There's a couple of places along here as well. Now, there are obviously other places, Foster Powell down here, Faux, but those streets are kind of the main ones that run west to east, and they have the main bulk of the bars, restaurants, cafes. So if you want to be in Southeast Portland, it's worthwhile exploring each of those main areas and then pick a neighborhood that's close to those areas. And you will find a few places that go kind of along. This is 28th. In fact, there's also a fantastic little food cart pod along 28th. But overall, those are the main ways to think about Southeast Portland. And I would say Southeast Portland probably has more places than anywhere in the city in terms of great restaurants, really nice restaurants, and they're embedded throughout the neighborhood. It's not like some cities where you drive into the main downtown. Portland has these fantastic places to get food embedded throughout all of the neighborhoods. Now, let's take a look at the next neighborhood in Southeast Portland, Lads Edition. And you'll see the grid system completely gets kind of flipped around here. Lads Addition, very unique neighborhood. I recently released a video specifically on this neighborhood. Beautiful area. It has these little diamond shapes. I'm not sure if you can see how, zoom in. These are beautiful rose gardens, and there's some fantastic homes along here as well. In fact, let's see if we can find one. I think this one here actually is a fantastic charming home. Yeah, you can see these are the roses. And then, yeah, this kind of big, grand homes. Again, not every house in this neighborhood is going to be kind of on that sort of scale, but it gives you kind of an idea. And then there's like a center circle here. It's kind of a traffic roundabout, but it's actually quite large. So there's kind of like an area to sit out in and relax. And then on the corner here, you've got like a little coffee shop, tattoo shop. I think there's a used clothes store here as well, clothes store on the corner. But yeah, kind of good places in the area. This building right here is the school. Abernethy, that's it, school. And I think that's a very highly rated school. And then if I just close out and go back to the main view, Division along the south, and I mentioned Division is one of those main neighborhoods with plenty of places to get a bite to eat. And then Hawthorne goes along to the north, and again, plenty of places. Jam on Hawthorne, breakfast spot, fantastic. Gold, that's a kind of a sports bar. Plenty of places surrounding Lads Addition. It's a charming area. You'll find that because of the unique grid system, it's quite safe because it's not a through street. People don't tend to use it to go drive through because it's got roundabouts and slower streets. So it tends to be a little safer, good for people who want to kind of walk out. And you can see the mix of the homes here. These ones obviously very different to that grand one I showed you. Again, these could even be under 2,000 square feet. Prices in Lads Addition are quite high just because it is very desirable. So you get a little bit less for your money here because of the high desirability, starting at around 700,000, but comfortably 800,000 for something like this, or 900,000 or even more. The neighbouring ones may be a little larger, over $1 million, but it gives you an idea on what you can expect in terms of price points. Fantastic area. Lads Addition, obviously, and as you can see, Lads Addition really well located if you want to get into kind of the downtown area as well. Just a 5 or 10 minute drive to get into downtown. A couple of other areas in Southeast Portland I'm going to talk about. Further south down here, you have Sellwood Moorland, you've got Eastmoreland. These are kind of very good hotspots. Sellwood Moorland, first of all, plenty of places, again, cafes, bars, you can see for yourself, plenty of places along here. Really kind of a thriving, busy area. Let's just plop a little guy here so you can see some of the places. Little outdoor seating areas. This really popped up during COVID, and thankfully the city allowed them to kind of keep these things. So you'll see that throughout the city. Charming little area overall. And then Eastmoreland, I really love Eastmoreland. Is this area right here. Eastmoreland is beautiful for multiple reasons. And again, I've released a video specifically just on Eastmoreland. You have the Eastmoreland golf course, which is right here. Runs along here, and then you'll see the houses along 27th have views of that golf course. So let's just put our little guy here, see if we can see something. So you'll see, yeah, kind of charming homes along here. Again, this is an older neighborhood, a lot of houses from the 20s and 30s, and then you've got the golf course that runs right along it here. So the neighborhood feels very green, not quite so built up. This obviously photo is taken in, I said, down the bottom of February, so you can see, tree-lined streets. Unfortunately, there's no leaves on the trees right now, but in the summer months, it'll be beautiful. And then another really attractive area of Eastmoreland is the Crystal Springs Rhododendron Garden. And you see it has a lake here. It's a really beautiful place to come out for a stroll. The lake is beautiful. The rhododendrons at the right time of the year are fantastic as well. And again, I featured that in one of my videos, but overall just a beautiful area to be. Now, Eastmoreland, the homes are a little bit larger in Eastmoreland than places like Alberta and Laurelhurst, for example, we just touched on. It's hard to find anything under 2,500 square feet, and then what that means is that the starting price point for the neighborhood is therefore going to be higher as well. high 800s, low 900,000s tends to be the starting point for homes in this area. The homes here are really, really attractive, really beautiful overall. Okay, so kind of gives you a vibe. Yeah, look at some of these very attractive homes in this neighborhood overall. You'll find a lot of these neighborhoods, people really take good care of, of their front yards. Again, this picture is from February, so not necessarily the greatest time to see the front yards, but it gives you the vibe on what you can kind of expect. Older homes, older neighborhood, overall very attractive and beautiful. So overall, I think those are the main areas in Southeast Portland I want to cover. Now let's turn our attention to a very unique and the newest neighborhood, and that's South Portland. Okay, so now let's take a few minutes to talk about the newest and smallest quadrant, and that's South Portland. And this is going to be the most unique quadrant compared to any of the others that we have. And that's that it's mainly modern, attractive, high-rise buildings, beautiful condos along the Willamette River. So this is this area right here, South Portland. South Waterfront is primarily the main neighborhood in this area, the main one that I want to talk to you about overall. So let's just kind of show the satellite view first of all, so we can give you an idea on what you can expect. You have these large, attractive condo buildings here, and they're right along the Willamette River. And they're still developing this area today, and again I've done a special video on this area and I'll throw out some clips from that video. But you can see it's kind of a really beautiful area to be. These especially the top floor ones, wow. The views here are sensational. You've got the river, you've got Mount Hood in the distance, you've also got Mount St. Helens to the north that you'll have views on as well. Great little walking trails you can find, you're right along the river, very, very walkable and attractive. And it's somewhere that a real mix of people tend to want to move to. So you'll find people downsizing, don't want the maintenance work of a single family home, tend to move there. They may end up buying a top floor condo, which could cost over $1 million. And then you also have people who are first time home buyers, because you can find condos in this area still very attractive in the same building for like $250,000, $300,000 for example. So it's a good mix of people who move here. Now, there's a huge medical presence in this area. You'll see OHSU here, have a big building here, they have this building here, and then right here, we can see it just about, that's not it, right here, the lower tram terminal. This is that Sky Tram that goes up the hill, and that takes you to the big main hospital on the top of the hill, the OHSU campus. So you'll find people who works either at the OHSU campus here or down below will live in South Waterfront because it's so easy to get up the hill or so easy to get between those two campuses. So I was here 6 months, 9 months ago, and I was shooting my videos. I saw so many people walking in their scrubs, the medical outfits, just walking through this neighborhood. So if you're in the medical field, maybe consider South Waterfront. It's low maintenance, high quality of life. You've got plenty of cute little cafes and restaurants and things in the area as well. Little Big Burger, for example, little coffee shops built into the buildings. And you can see the buildings are actually quite attractive overall, more of a modern, attractive vibe. Now, the one negative comment I hear about this, and I actually had this comment on my video I released, which was really helpful, is that there isn't a grocery store in this specific neighborhood. So you kind of have to leave the neighborhood to get to a grocery store. I mean, there's still a Trader Joe's, I believe, just outside the area, but that's the one negative that I hear from people about the South Waterfront area overall. But if you're looking for condos in a beautiful, attractive area, South Waterfront is probably the top recommendation for you. And South Waterfront honestly is the main neighborhood in South Portland that I want to consider. Okay, so now let's move on to our sixth and final quadrant, and that's Southwest Portland. And you'll find a real mix here as well, similar to Northwest Portland. So let's just recap. Southwest Portland starts here. It starts in downtown. just south of kind of the area we started off overall. And this is where you're going to find lots of high-rise buildings, lots of office buildings. There is some residential here. There is some high-rise buildings in here as well. The Ritz-Carlton Residences, the newest and most luxurious residential building, is built in this area. And let's see, it's just on the corner of 10th and Washington, right here. And it's a beautiful building. I've had a couple of property tours in that building. Where is it? Not that one. Not that one. This one. And it's, you know, luxury residences. So the first 18 floors are part of the hotel. So the entrance to the hotel is here. The residents have a private entrance on this side, and floors, I think 20, 22 up to 35 are private residences. It's not a cheap place to be. The most affordable one-bedroom apartment in this building is around $950,000. There's actually a finished penthouse condo in this building right now available for over $6 million, and that's like 4,000 square feet, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom property. It's a beautiful building. It's a little bit different to the surrounding area, and it's taken them a while to sell the building out. And I'm not completely surprised, because what you can get for $6 million here, you can get, you know, significantly less money at a big estate, you know, somewhere else. So it's perhaps a little bit unique, a little bit different, but there's going to be a demand for it, but a small demand for it. But overall, the Ritz-Carlton Residences in downtown Portland, very unique, very attractive. Further south of that area, you've got places like Portland Heights. These houses again are going to be on the side of a mountain, and they're going to be looking kind of east and have some great views. One thing I didn't mention about the downtown area, you've got the art museums, you've got concert halls, plenty of places for concerts as well overall. You've also got the university down in this area as well. Other areas in southwest Portland, Multnomah Village is one of those true gems. Again, I released a video specific on this neighborhood quite recently, but it is a beautiful neighborhood overall. You've got this charming little street right down the heart, plenty of places to get food again. It's more like a little shopping area, neighborhood shopping area overall. It's kind of like the village within the city, but overall a great spot. Now, property prices in Multnomah Village, they're going to vary again. You can find things from around the 500,000s. You can go up to around perhaps 800,000. So yeah, that's Multnomah Village. A few pros and cons of this area. One, it's in good proximity to downtown Portland. You can see for yourself, maybe it's about 15 minutes to get into downtown Portland. So quite well located. And then places like Beaverton on the west side, where you have Nike's head office as well. It's quite well located for areas in the Silicon Forest area. You also have Gabriel Park, huge park. You can see just for yourselves how many blocks it takes up. You've got baseball pitches there, good areas for dogs. There's a kids playground area up there as well. Beautiful park. The area in just north of the little cute shopping area, it has some steep hills as well, so you have some homes with some pretty good views up here as well. But overall, Multnomah Village homes might start around maybe 550,000 for a 1,700 square foot home, and you can comfortably go up to 800,000-900,000 for those larger properties overall. So I think that's probably the main part of Southwest Portland I want to cover, and that also completes our tour across Portland. Okay, so that's our tour of Portland and the main neighborhoods that you should consider. Now, do remember there are nearly 100 neighborhoods in Portland, but hopefully this has at least given you an idea on what might be a strong fit for you. Now, if you're still unsure on what might be the right area for you, please do reach out to me. We can jump on a Zoom call and discuss exactly what it is you're looking for and help find a good fit for you. And also, do remember, in next week's video, I'll be talking about all the main towns and cities outside of Portland that you need to know about. Subscribe to my channel to make sure you receive that information. But for now, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video.